Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's New at Q. My name is Mara, and while you can't see me, I will be moderating this session. In this webinar, your video and audio capabilities are turned off, but we welcome you to chat and ask questions in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen or the bottom of your screen where it says chat. Your chat box may default to all panelists, so to be sure everyone sees your message, in the box where it says to, click the drop-down arrow to switch it over to read all panelists and attendees. I will be in the chat to answer questions, and your host will be answering questions live as well. This session, along with the chat, is being recorded so attendees can view it after the conference. Also, to respect your time and the conference agenda, we will end each session at the designated time. Thank you again for attending QuaverCon, and your session will begin shortly.
Excellent. Okay, so I have unmuted myself and started my video, which means that everybody should be seeing and hearing me, as well as seeing my shared screen with our session's title. So you are officially at What's New at Q. So welcome. We're so happy to have you here. We're so happy to be sharing QuaverCon with you. This is wonderful. And I personally have been really excited about this session because we just had some updates last week that I am beyond excited to share with you guys. So here is what we are going to do. The very first thing that we need to take a look at are our purposes for today. So we are looking at the session purpose, and our first two questions are, what are you going to learn and why is it important? So what are you going to learn? Well, you're going to learn about some of the updates that we just recently pushed last week. If you've been with Quaver for a while, you know that every few months we push out updates that can be songs, that can be functionality, it can be a number of things. So I'm going to be sharing some of our favorites with you today. Another thing that you are going to be learning is, why is any of that important? Well, it's important because we've put some updates in place that will make it easier for you to head into hybrid learning. Whether your situation is in class or your situation is in a virtual environment, we want to provide some things that are going to help you out. So let's take a look at what that is going to mean for you. So the first thing is our agenda. We've got new content, new functionality, and we're also going to have a special announcement. Now, for just a second, I'm going to take myself out of share so that I can see everybody. I've got a couple of comments coming in about people who can't hear. I think most everybody, it looks like most people can see and hear me, but if you're having any problems, just make sure that you've got your volume pushed up, or you can give our team a call at 866-917-3633 to help troubleshoot. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen real quick for you. We are going to be covering new content, new functionality, and like I said, we'll have a special announcement for you. All right, who's ready? Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. All right, let's head in to new content. All right, I do see lots of raised hands going up, so I'm gonna hold on for just a second to see if everybody is okay. Is everything going all right there, admin? All right, perfect. Yes, check your audio settings. Excellent. All right, thank you guys for bearing with. As you know, technology has its way, so we're always doing our best to work with it. Awesome. Thanks for troubleshooting, everybody. Okay, so the first thing I want to share with you are some new content updates. Now, this is exciting. We've added a few things as far as songs and additions to songs that already exist in the Quaver world. The very first thing that I want to share with you is some new ORF and instrumental song activity. So there are lots of things that already existed in the Quaver world. We added a couple of more supporting ORF and instrumental pieces to go with that. So you might be wondering, well, what songs are those? I put them here in the notes. We've got Night is Here, some some barred instruments and non-pitched percussion, and a number of other things, including Thanksgiving at Our House, Kwanzaa celebration, the Woods, Rocky Mountain, and the Walking Home medley, Send a Little Love, and St. Patrick's Day Parade. So all of those now have some ORF additions in them. So please check those out in class play. You'll find some of those extra activities over there on the side where you see song activities. So I'll point that out to you real quick so you can be familiar with that. Class play, and any song that you have selected, you'll see the song activities right over here to the right. So those new ORF editions will be found there. All right, the next thing, we're going to take a look at a new 3rd grade song-based lesson, which is called Values Matter. And this song and this entire lesson came about because of a partnership that we had with Miami Public Schools. So I'm going to show you where that lives. It is in 3rd grade. So song-based lessons. The next thing you're going to head to is 3rd grade. Click that little yellow arrow that indicates that there's a little bit more. And there it is, the Values Matter, Playing Instruments and Performance. This is a really, really cool lesson with some rapping, some boom whacker parts, all sorts of things for you to share with your students. It's very, very fun. Some rubrics in there for you as well as evaluation. So I know we've got some friends down in Miami who might already be familiar with this. Shout out to our friends in Miami. Please check this out. It goes right along with those values, but it's really a great resource for all of your students. It is awesome. All right, let's head back to our teacher dashboard there, and we're going to keep chugging along. Now, many of you over the last couple of years have been able to check out some of our pre-K music lessons. Now, because we were in the process of working on those pre-K music lessons, we had made those available to you for free to test out, give us feedback as we were developing the rest of that content. Well, as of last week, that content is actually fully developed now. Because of that, you may or may not be able to see pre-K anymore showing up on your dashboard. Now, if you are still interested in keeping access to those pre-K music resources, I highly recommend getting in touch with your district admin or with your sales director in the exhibit hall in Hoover to ask a little bit more about adding on the pre-K option. Well, I've also asked our content team what are some of their new favorites in pre-K. Now, I've got a little pre-Ker at my house, but I also taught pre-K music for quite a while. That was really where I got my start with teaching. And I utilize these resources with my pre-K students at my elementary school. And these are amazing. The layout of them is wonderful. Everything about the format is just very, very friendly to students and really meets them where they are and keeps their interest. So these favorites are from our content team and Gwenda. So I'm going to share them with you. Lesson number 30 was mentioned. And in lesson number 30, it's about airplanes and high and low cymbals. So I highly recommend checking that out if you have access to the pre-K music resources. And lesson 31, this one was mentioned because the improvisation piece. Improvisation is really intimidating for children of all ages, me included. Improvisation is a very scary thing to head into, but if we make that part of our normal, part of our everyday for students as young as pre-K, it's going to just equip them with a musical experience from early on that's going to make them braver to try out new things. And if we put these parameters in place for them, we're setting them up for some major success in music. So, quick reminder about pre-K music. If you're not seeing that button there anymore, get in contact with your district admin and or your sales director to see about adding that on to your package of grade levels. Another thing worth noting here is there's a session called Full Day Pre-K that we're going to be offering a little question and answer a little bit later. That is actually a separate curriculum. That is for a general pre-K educator. So keep that in mind, that we're talking about a couple of different things that are new in the Quaver universe. The pre-K music stuff is what I'm talking about, and that session that Carly will be hosting a little bit later, that is going to be about the full day pre-K curriculum. So I just wanted to make a quick note about that. All right, now I am going to head over back into my lesson. Now, one thing that I did see that is a really, really excellent point is a lot of folks are using these pre-K lessons for kindergarten students, and they are wonderful for that. So be sure, if you don't have it, check out with your sales director, see how you can utilize this with your students. It really is wonderful for them as well. All right, new pre-K lessons, check. Now, the next thing that I'm about to tell you is probably one of the most amazing things ever. And it's that Quaver Street has been updated. And what that means is Quaver Street no longer relies on Flash. So we've been pulling things out of Flash left and right. Everything will be totally out of Flash at the end of 2020. But right now, Quaver Street is out of Flash. And I'm just watching the Zoom webinar chat just go crazy right now. So I think it's time for our poll question then. So I'm going to ask the admin to pop that poll question in there, because clearly it's needed. I can feel it just from your comments. We're going to do some exploring on Quaver Street here in just a minute. But I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll because I've got it right at my fingertips. The question for this poll is, are you excited about the non-Flash Quaver Street? Yes. Yes! Yes! It's basically Christmas in July! Those are your possible choices. Excellent. I'm seeing some poll responses come in. I'm going to keep that open here for just a second. Keep those coming. This is wonderful. Oh, I love all this feedback. This is great. I did kind of load the deck a little bit, so excellent. All right, well, while that poll is continuing on, we need to check out what Quaver Street now looks like. Well, first, I'm going to show you how you access those things. Quaver Street is going to be accessible from the dashboards. So we're going to look at the student dashboard as well as the teacher dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I can tell you, I can share the results. 57% of you said, yes, it's basically Christmas in July, and I have to agree. So thank you guys so much for participating in our poll. Now I'm going to show you some things in Quaver Street. The first thing I want to share you is how do you get to Quaver Street from both the student view and the teacher view. Let's start here in the teacher view. Now when you log in, you are automatically going to be taken to this teacher dashboard. You're going to see this new button in the left-hand corner that says To Quaver Street. When you click on that, that will take you over to the brand new and improved Quaver Street. All right, that's how it looks in the teacher world. Let's look very quickly at the student world. For the students, their dashboard is now going to have an extra button. So they're going to see assignment, student interactives, and creatives, as well as Quaver books, just like they did before. But now we've added the Quaver Street button right here. They'll be able to click on that and head to their Quaver Street. And just so you remember, it no longer requires Flash for you to look at what's happening over in Quaver Street. Oh, it's so wonderful to see all of these Zoom webinar chats. Thank you so much for celebrating with us. We're very excited. Now, let's poke around a little bit. Let's play a little bit. Let's head over to Quaver Street. So from the teacher dashboard, I am going to click that Quaver Street button in the left-hand corner, and I am going to see Quaver Street.
Quaver's marvelous world.
I love hearing Otto's voice.
That feels good.
Oh man, that surprises me every time. If you saw me jump, that was legitimate. So down here along the bottom, we have apps, we have contests, and we have those teacher tabs, just like we did before. My avatar does have a flute, even though I'm primarily an opera singer, and that's really what I mostly do. I did play flute for a while, so I am holding my flute, but we're gonna poke around so you can see, yes, it's got a little bit of a facelift. Things are a little bit different. One thing that I know a lot of people will be very happy about is the awning now has the black keys and the white keys looking the way it should look. You'll notice the billboards up here, lots of contests will be promoted through there, all sorts of fun things to explore. Now, the first place I'm actually going to head down into is the Metro. Some of you are familiar with the Metro. I know you've been using it, but the Metro departures are right here, lots of places for students to explore. Now, I'm going to click on, why don't we go Classical Music Hall? I told you about my opera life. Let's head there. So the Classical Music Hall will be our example that we're going to use, just so you can see all of the things down along the bottom. You can see what options you have at your fingertips. When I click on activities, that is going to open up some basic information, the books, both the basic and advanced books, the map so you can explore where you might be hearing classical music in the world, some music, a fun puzzle, and a matching game. Now, these activities are going to be available in every venue that you choose. So regardless of which venue you choose, you'll have these activities right there at your fingertips. You can also hide that and you can play the venue's music. In this particular venue, we're at Quaver Symphony Hall in New York, New York. We're going to exit from there and we're going to head out of our Metro. Feel free to explore this. It is wonderful. It's fun. It's a great place to send students for self-exploration time. A lot cleaner to look at. I saw that comment often. It is such a nice view of the Metro. It's very easy to use. Now I'd like to take us over into the shop. If you're familiar with our videos, a lot of our videos take place in the Quaver shop. So here I am in the shop. I've got a couple of places that I can explore. We've got Songbrush right there at your fingertips. You can head into the studio, the phone booth, of course, and the lab. Now, I am going to focus on three things: the studio, the phone box, and the lab. So let's take a look at the studio real quick, get a quick tour. You can see that you have access to the creatives in here as well. So you can have students explore for themselves, enter into these creatives through this route, or they could do that through that student dashboard as well. So lots of options at your fingertips, and be sure to say hi to Austin Otto when you're in there. Has Otto always been in the studio? I don't think he has. I think this is a new upgrade. I think that's part of our upgrade. All right, the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna head back to the shop. We are also gonna pop over into the lab. Excellent, so, ooh, you can hear that sound. Be sure to say hello to Gwenda when you're here. You can also head into Ear IQ. You can head into a couple of other things. Q sound effects is in the lab. You can get that science of sound action going. Lots of fun things. Now, I can't leave out the telephone booth. We have to go to the phone box. So let's click on that phone box. And as you know, any good phone box is going to take you through time. I mean, that's just a given. So here you can click on one of these options. Let's see, I love singing some French art songs. So we're gonna go with Mr. Debussy.
Hey, Erin.
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, can you turn your computer audio down just a little bit?
Sure.
I can't hear your voice very well when it's playing, and I want to be able to hear you.
Perfect. All right, hopefully that'll fix it. Thank you for letting me know. Perfect. All right, so we're in the phone box. We are heading down into 1800s, late 1800s, Impressionist era. We've got those same activities available for us. Great place for students to just explore and find some things. Excellent. I'm going to click exit and click exit again. And here I am back in the shop. Now, I'm going to head over here to Quaver Street, because one question that I saw come up is about the avatar and how to change the avatar. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to click on my avatar. I tried to make her as close to me as possible. We have some similarities. Now she's showing up blue, little alien look. But you can come in here to features. You can change the eyes and the hair as well as the nose, anything else that you want. You can also, let's cancel that one. We're gonna go over and look at the clothing. We can look at the instruments. We can edit the colors, change things up. We can make Emily version, the alien version of it. And there you have it. You can also head up here to the music room. I know I should join the Blue Man group. Oh, music room is going to be coming. That's one more thing that we're actually adding to. So we'll be adding to that one so that you can access that soon. Now, I am going to also point out to you contests. Some of your students may have found this before even you did. We have lots of contests here for you to poke around in. They're all related to our creatives. So students can actually submit a submission. They can submit a submission into Q Grooves. Anything goes here. And they can play against 2 other people. They can play against a total of 6 players or 12 players. And then what's really cool is that students get to interact with it and they get to actually rate other students' work. So this is just a very, very quick tour of Quaver Street. I want to head into some of the major functionality that we pushed as well, but I hope that you spend some time exploring Quaver Street. It is a lot of fun. As you can see, I spent maybe too much time on my avatar last week, so I encourage you to do the same. Now, I'm going to head back into our lesson, and I am going to congratulate us for completing some of that content stuff. I'm really proud of us. Now we're going to head into new functionality. Now, this is going to be very exciting. I'm just going to put it that way. It's going to be very fun. The first thing I'm going to share with you is the video instructions option. Then I'm going to share with you how chat has changed, new chat features. I'm also going to spend some time with the new options we have in Teacher Admin, and we have added an additional way to create student accounts within your classes in Teacher Admin. So the first thing that I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to head back into my actual custom lesson that I made for this session, and I'm going to show you what it would be like if I were to add video instructions to it. So I'm going to open up my lesson, What's New at Q. I'm going to click menu. You'll notice down here as well that this has changed. We used to have the delete and edit and launch right here down at the bottom, but now we've put it in a menu and we have a list of options there. So just keep in mind, that's just for us to load all sorts of fun things in there in the future. I'm going to go to edit lesson. Now, right now I'm in a lesson format. So I can't really add instructions here because I'm not in an assignment. So I'm going to create an assignment from this lesson, a carbon copy. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to take a look and see that that popped up right here. Now let's say I was sending this to you. And I was sending it to you, you're my students, and I want to send this to you and explain some things to you. So let's say I'm explaining the Values Matter song-based lesson. You'll notice that the menu is going to pop up with one more option for me, and that is edit notes and video instructions. Video instructions. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to be able to add my instructions just like usual. But now we have added a video instructions button. what this does is it puts instructions right there on the screen that the students are in. The screen that the students are in. So I can click on this. Now it's going to get meta here for a second. I can record right here in my screen, save that to that instructions of the screen. Or if you don't have the ability with that, with your browser settings, sometimes security and privacy things are weird, or you have an issue with something else on your computer, maybe an older computer, you can make the file and attach the file. You can upload it. That's another option. Well, what does that look like when you launch it for students? I'm going to show you. If your students are launching that particular assignment, here's what it's going to look like for them. I'm going to click out of that for a second. I sent my students an assessment. All right. But maybe I need to explain something a little bit more to them. So if my students are inside of their assignment, they click instructions.
Hey team, you made it. So on this page, I'm including
what? So you can have written instructions on the left-hand side with your video embedded into that screen. So in addition to the teacher recording screen, which is amazing and awesome, which you can put maybe to introduce the entire lesson, you now have this option. And I'm going to show you how to get that again. So let's say that your students have this assessment. It's been sent to them in an assignment. If they click instructions,
hey team,
they're going to see your video along with any written instructions here. This is why I was so excited for this session, you guys. Like I've been talking about how fun this stuff is going to be. It's because of stuff like this. It's so cool. So please explore, have some fun with this, utilize it, tell us what you think. Hopefully this is going to be more helpful for you as you head into any kind of hybrid or virtual learning situation. So big deal there, very big. So guess what? Boom, new video instructions. Now we're going to head into chat. The first thing I'm going to say here is we heard you. We heard you. I'm going to stop share for just a second. We heard you when you said that, gosh, you really wanted chat to be a little bit more than just within an assignment. Guess what? We're opening up chat to be within your class. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, let's take a look. Share that screen. Google Chrome, share computer sound. Here we go. I'm going to head back over here. I'm going to head out and I'm going to head over to teacher admin. Now, I saw a couple people mention that they had disabled chat, and I'll show you a very simple way for you to make adjustments to your chat management there. You're going to see this little chat bubble pop up throughout teacher admin. When you click on that chat bubble, you are going to see chat options. That's where the little gear, that's so you can kind of set and allow for things to happen or not happen depending on your classes. Now, it is always going to default to disabling the class to talk as a whole. And what that means is that students can't just post something. They can still talk to you, but they can't just post something for everybody to see. And that's a good fail-safe for you know, just anything that might be inappropriate that a student might post. Now, if you have a class that can handle the responsibility, you can get rid of that. You can totally get rid of that. You can also disable private. So you've got a couple of options for how you want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and say that my students in these classes are mature. We've talked about protocols for how we're going to talk to one another and engage in civil conversation with one another. So I'm going to click OK. All right, what next? Well, if you noticed, there's another little chat bubble right here. You click on that and you can see the class tab and the private tab here, and you can actually chat directly in here. Now this will show up on the student end. We're about to do an update to the student end. Right now they're only able to see the chat from their assignments that they're in, but soon they're also going to have a little chat bubble. So right now, the students would be able to see it by clicking, actually I'm gonna show you right here, that right here instead of tools for the students, it's gonna say chat. So your students will be able to click that button. Now, they're soon gonna have that little chat bubble just like you that lives on their dashboard. So it won't just be inside of their assignments. Private tab is, as you can see, that's our CEO, Dave Maestrin. Hi, Dave, if you're watching. I could have a private chat with Dave right here, and that just tells me exactly who it is. I can scroll down, maybe I'll say hey to Abby, or if you know Mara from the Facebook group, I might say hi to Mara right there. That is just a very quick, easy way to make sure that you know who you're chatting with. Now, something else that's also going to be happening, if a student does say, I need help with number 3, but let's say you don't know where number 3 lives. Soon we're going to have some ways for you to see what assignment that is attached to as well. So we've got a couple of options coming down the pipe. So we have some even what's newer at Q or coming. So keep an eye out for those things. Now, I think it's time. All right. I'm ready to show you some new options in Teacher Admin. Are you ready? Here we go. As you notice here in Teacher Admin, we now have a section called Student Accounts. We're going to get there here in just a second. But before we can get to Student Accounts, we first need to come over here to Classes. I'm going to click Classes. I've got a couple of test classes rocking and rolling in here, but I'm going to want to add a new class. Now, one thing I will say to everybody before I head into this section, if you have a rostering integration with us, so there are 2 kinds of integrations. There's SSO, which is single sign-on, and then there's rostering. If you're doing the rostering thing, this classes portion of stuff, you'll be able to see your classes because your district IT will load them in there for you, but you will not do some of the things that I'm doing when I'm adding a new class. So I just want to put that caveat in there. I'm going to click Add New Class, and this looks different now. In this class details section, you only need to do the class name and the start and end date of the class. Then you've got some options in purple. Let's talk about those options, shall we? All right, so I'm going to go with QC Test is the name of our class. I'm going to end this Thursday. And right here, you'll see this option to require students to enter name on login. That is especially helpful if you're doing the like native sign up method where you just give your kids a class code and they sign up for themselves. Sometimes some of those names are a little bit hard. The usernames might be a little bit hard to discern who's who, what name goes with who, all that. So that is a really great way to help prevent that from happening. Here's a game changer thing, I think. This second option is record student login as attendance. I highly suggest you click that option if you want to see when students log in. This came, oh, I love seeing all the woohoos and wows and yeses. Yes, this is a big deal because in some grade levels, in some classes, you might not have an assessment or a specific assignment that you want students to respond to, but you still want to see that they're interacting with the content that you're providing for them. When they log in, you'll be able to do that if you have checked this box. So be sure to take a look at that, record student login as attendance. This is wonderful. I love seeing all this. You can select all the boxes. I saw that question. So I can require students to log in and enter name on login. And then I can also record student login as attendance. But here's where things get into that fourth checkbox right here, new student account creation method. That's happening right here. I'll show you a couple places you can do that. Auto generate student accounts. Say what? What? This is crazy cool. I can click this button and I can say that I've got 32 students. I want to create 32 student accounts for this class, auto-generated. Now, before we leave this section, I am going to click additional class information so you can see what's there. Now, grade levels, period, start time, end time, days of the week, those are all optional things. They were optional before and you didn't have to include them here. So we put that down in the bottom a little bit hidden. After I click save, that class code is going to be generated. So I'm going to click save. And it will put up a pop-up that says, are you sure this is going to add 32 student accounts to the QC test? I'm totally sure. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to say success, I have added 32 students. Now a new column is now showing up in the classes section. You'll see this students column is going to show up here. That tells me how many student accounts are attached to that class. Now somebody asked, how many accounts can you add? You can add an unlimited number of student accounts. I say that and the developers are probably thinking we have to buy all the servers, and we might, but right now a teacher can have any number of student accounts attached to them. Now let's see what that looks like. I'm going to back out and I'm going to head over here to student accounts. You can see that we are in fact in my QC test up here, and I can see all of those Quaver names. Now, I might decide that I want to go ahead and change those on my end. I can click on the Quaver name and I can edit the student here. I can say what I want the display name to be. I can say what I want the first and last name to be, help me keep track of stuff. That might be a really super duper easy way for you to do that. I can also reset a student password if they lose track of it. That is super handy. Now, when they're first logging in, that very first login, their class code is going to default to their password as well. But when they first log in, they're also going to be prompted to change their password. So I would encourage students to make sure it's one that they can remember, make sure it's one that they can keep track of. I did see a question in there about, can we now edit the display names? Yes. So I've clicked on that. I can click edit student and I can say what that display name is going to be. Howdy. We'll just say that for now. And click save. There it is. Display name, howdy. Perfect. Yep, you can edit things. The student passwords are going to be the class code to start, but if in fact you have a student who forgets their password, super duper easy to change. Right there, reset student password. Excellent. All right, those are kind of the big ticket items that are new. Before I hop out of this student section though, I do want to point out add student accounts. Let's say that you've got a new student who pops in. You can very simply add that student in. You can auto-generate another account. You also have the option of adding existing student accounts. Maybe a student has created an account elsewhere and you want to attach them to your class. This will give you information about how to do that. If you're familiar with our spreadsheet bulk importer method, the student importer tool will be there for you. And then I mentioned the native signup method. That's what the student self-enroll with the class code is all about. Now, keep in mind that if you do have a rostering integration with us, that these options are not going to apply with you. Your district IT will work with our integrations team to make that connection behind the scenes. So I am going to hop back over here and say, boom, we did it. New student account creation method right there at your fingertips. I did see a couple of questions regarding deleting student accounts or archiving student accounts. You can do that. You can also give students a new class code to the next year. They can keep their account. You give them a new class code and enroll them in a new class, and boom, you are all set. Wonderful. I see some wonderful comments. Now, we have talked about classes. We have talked about student accounts. Some game changer things happening here. Now we are in for our special announcement. So I'm going to give my friend Val a little bit of time to get herself unmuted, and I'm going to just give a preview about what she's going to share, which is Quaver and the National Museum of African American Music and our partnership together. So I'm going to take it out of sharing so that we can see Valerie Diaz-Leroy's lovely face. And she brought a banjo, guys. Oh my goodness.
I not bring a banjo. Now this is a little clue. As to what's coming. We are so excited to announce a partnership with the National Museum for African American Music. They have a program that they have brought into schools for years called From Nothing to Something. And we are working with them to develop lessons centered around this program. They go into schools, they have culture bearers who go in and teach students about particular instruments and the ties to African American music and the contributions that African Americans have made to this art form. So we are producing 2 series of lessons. One is centered around the spoons. So your students and you can learn how to play the spoons, understand where these instruments came from, and really engage with this lesson. There is a culture bearer, Mr. Talley, who is here in Nashville, who actually goes into schools and teaches students. And the second series of lessons we're building is about the banjo. So it's really, really cool. This is a deep dive into history, and there is a guide who will walk your students through understanding the transmission of culture and how this instrument, relatives, started in Africa and how this instrument came to be. There is even a little tutorial on how to build your own banjo. So we're excited to do that, really excited to work with some amazing culture bearers to bring you all of this and to partner with an important resource in our community.
So Val, I'm curious, where can people find these resources in Quaver and with NAMAM? How can they look at everything?
Well, they're not out yet. So we're going to release these this fall. And when NAMAM does put these on their website, it will likely live in their education portal. This is really important because the museum was supposed to have already been open. So what we're doing is giving visitors to the museum website a little clue as to what they do for the community and the opportunity to visit the museum without being there. And then of course, anybody can visit that website. So anybody will be able to see what you experience as Quaver users going through lessons and engaging with content and learning functionality while you're doing that.
And also, so we mentioned spoons and banjo. Those lessons are going to be integrated into the Quaver curriculum for 4th and 5th grade. Is that correct?
That's what we're thinking.
Yes. So somewhere you'll see it somewhere in the Quaver curriculum when it launches with NAMAM. So it'll live in a couple places. 1 for you as Quaver users within Quaver, and then 2 for the world at large so that they can be educated by this incredible partnership. It's really cool. So it's going to be a very fun thing to keep an eye out for this fall. Sneak preview. Thank you so much, Val, for sharing that with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen for the last little bit because, guys, we're doing it. We talked about new content. We talked about new functionality. We even had Val come on for a special announcement. And I'm just so darn thrilled for all of the chat excitement that I've seen. There are some really cool things. And as I mentioned, we aren't done. We are always adding new things, and we're always taking your thoughts, your comments, your wishes, your hopes, your dreams, and we're seeing how we can make those things a reality within the development of the Quaver content. So please continue to add some comments and questions to Facebook or submit those tomorrow or to other people on our team. We're really excited to hear from you. Now we've got about 7 minutes left, so I want to be really mindful of our time, but I'm going to take a look at some of our open questions and see what I can answer here. So I did see a question from Amy. Amy Maddox mentioned, does the student recording page still have a 1-minute limit? And currently, yes, we do have a 1-minute limit on that. Another thing too, let's take a look at some of these other Flex It. I did see the mention of Flex It. So we do have some things. Most everything now is out of Flash, but there are a couple of things that are still in Flash that will be out in the fall. We're also doing some upgrades constantly, so there might be some things that look a little bit different or don't show up in the way that you are used to seeing them in the past. So some things, I see some questions about some specific content, and I'll have to check in with our content team about some of those just to see what's sticking around, what we can still expect to see coming in the fall. So thank you for that. A couple of questions about the pre-K. So just a quick mention about that. The pre-K stuff that I showed you today is pre-K music curriculum. So that is a grade that can be added on to the grades that you currently have in your music product. Now, before, when you had access to some of those, that's because we were still building it. We were getting feedback. We wanted everybody to kind of get a little taste of it. But now that it's finished, it is something that would be an addition to your license. So if you have questions about that, please be sure to check in with your district admin or your sales director in the exhibit hall. A couple of other things. One person said, what are we losing as we move out of Flash? Like I said, really most everything is going to be out of Flash and you won't really notice much. Now there are some things that aren't there currently, and the content team and dev are working on either getting them out of Flash or upgrading things in a different way. So just keep an eye out on that. Q Dancer and Q Skits in the arcade, I'm not entirely sure on the exact status of what those are. Maybe one of our team members can answer that in the chat. It's possible that they won't be making an appearance anytime soon. I know that those, there might be some favorites, but we're trying to keep some favorites. We're trying to also upgrade some things. So keep an eye out on those upgrades and updates. With the avatars, I did see that question earlier, and hopefully I was able to answer that for you, which was about clicking on your actual avatar and adjusting things there. Hopefully that was answered. There are so many wonderful questions in here. So I do have some questions about the Quaver books. Currently, the Quaver books are there for students to read. There is no audio to those as far as what's read on the page. The only audio that is currently embedded in those Quaver books are, let's say that you're listening to some Beethoven music or reading about Beethoven and you can listen to some music there. That's going to be the only audio currently in those Quaver books. Now with our pre-K music books, those do have the option to actually listen to them being read. Gosh, there are so many wonderful questions. I did see a question about the widgets, and I know that that has come up in a couple of other sessions, so I do want to be sure to share that with you. Widgets were something that were part of some updates last year. To access your widgets, click on the menu, and you'll see several options here. We're going to go with widgets, and that's going to pull up a little toolbar down along here at the bottom. You can add a keyboard, a metronome, soundboard. I'm going to add that because I'm just so darn excited about this session. We got boom chicka boom.
Boom chicka boom.
Woo wee. So I can't be an extra Graham doing our usual webinar. I got to bring him in somehow. So there we go. That's the way I brought in Graham, was with our widget. And then you can also add a timer to specific pages. So just keep an eye out for that menu. If you want to get back to your lesson navigation, you're going to click lessons so that you can click next. Now we are running. Oh, I'm sorry, I made your beagle flip out, Dan. Oh, Dan, I'm so sorry. All right, so we've got a couple of questions. How can I get unique and Quaver 5 posters? Check out our shop. You can go to shop.quavermusic.com, or you can always email info@quavered.com. We are so happy to share that with you. So lots of things happen, and I see that getting shop.quavermusic.com. I saw somebody had mentioned wanting a xylophone widget, which I think is a really cool idea. But in the meantime, I am going to show you something that you can utilize in student interactives. In student interactives, and this is what your students also have access to in their student interactives. I'm going to go right here to playing music or Flybrary. And this is going to take you to some of my favorite instruments that you can have in a digital way. If you can't share instruments with your students, but maybe you're fortunate enough to be in a one-to-one device classroom or school, this is a really great option. Students can have this on their device. If you're on an iPad or something with a touch screen, you can get harmony by hitting a couple of the bars at the same time. It's wonderful. So just know that that is right there in the, I'm going to back it out to student interactives. You can go to student interactives right here on your teacher dashboard. So that is a pretty big and helpful tool there. There are so many wonderful questions and I can't get to everything, but I just want to say thank you so much. Oh, you can remove bars. You can click on that, bye-bye bars. And you can also click on scales and get yourself a real quick F major pentatonic, real quick. Perfect for the end of the day when your brain can't figure it out. Now, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. There's always so much for us to share and we can't possibly get it done in a 50-minute time, but please keep talking with us, keep letting us know how we can help you. If you have any additional questions, reach out to our customer service team at info@quavered.com. Please fill out the session feedback form in Whova. Please join the Facebook group, QuaverMusic Teachers, if you're not already there. Let us know how we can help. We do webinars periodically. Heck, we can do more webinars if you need me to. I'm happy to do it because we absolutely love sharing all the cool things that are available to you. Again, my excitement for this session, I've been looking forward to this one since we knew it was going to happen. Thank you for making it fun. Thank you for all of your wonderful feedback in the comments. If we didn't get to your question, reach out to us at info@quavered.com and we will help. All right, boom chicka boom, everybody. Enjoy QuaverCon.